What type of question type is like MCQ and like
yeah, multi-choice and programming.
Yeah. Any theory question?
Sorry?
Any theory question?
Theoretical
questions like definitions or like that.
Well, definition will be in the multi-choice.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, but not as complete as this, because I consider in the class time you only have like 10 minutes to work on it, so it's only 2 lines. But then in the exam you have like a whole entire for loop or whatever to fill out. It's in the safe browser. Yeah. All right. Any question? Any question back there? Yeah, it's your chance. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I expect you to stay quiet. If you have other business to talk, please use your phone. You can chat to each other. That's fine to me. All right, but just don't talk. All right, yeah. Okay, so let's look at the code. The first part, I mean, here we use another recurrent. But in the previous example, we just reverse it, right? I would say either way, it's fine. Then here, definitely, we will remove one of the digit now, right? And we send it to another function, itoa, right? I2a function. And here we're printing out that the last digit we just get rid of, right? Yeah, we're sending the new version of it into this into this function, and then we will continuously adding a new number into it. All right. Yeah, so in this particular example, we just look at how we are going to use this recurrent to work on print out a list of digits, which not necessarily be the best way, I would say. Assuming if the array is very big, that means you're creating too many copies of this array, this function. unnecessarily. It might make better sense if we are using the recurrent on a tree style structure, right? And we knowing the maximum size of this tree often beforehand. Okay. Preprocessor. So preprocessor means like we include those header at the beginning, as well as we define some special variables, right? Like include standard IO.h, right? So that's one of the typical file inclusion example. So we start with include sign, all right? So let's say you have one file A including file B, right? And now you have a file C include A. So that file will automatically include B as well, if that makes sense. So it can be nested. So whatever file you have included in this file, and then the other file including you, and the other file will include everything, both your file directly as well as the file you have included internally. All right. Any question on the back? Do you have any question? No? All right. The other is called define. Okay, define, we can define any variable, or often we saw that's a constant value, right? If we want a constant value, yes equals to 1, no equals to 0, right? We can do this to make our code more readable, right? That's a good way. The other is to assign a macro. Right? We have looked at this example before. This is a way we can define like a short, quick function, almost like. However, this is not a function. All right. What happened is, so for example, in your code, you have included a variable like yes in your code here, and later on, obviously, you are going to use it, right? You say, okay, yes plus yes equal, well, A equals yes plus yes, right? When your program got run, the compiler will automatically replace this variable yes by the number 1 before it's actually running it. So it's going to replace the bag. So essentially, you're only making a symbol for this value, all right? So that means, so if we kind of define this macro, whatever A and B we have put in our real function, it will be automatically put it inside this expression by the compiler. For example, so if I'm in my code, I have included a maximum Q plus peak plus Q, R plus R, right? So it will be automatically be used in this. So essentially, the compiler will rewrite your code into this form, and then it will execute it. All right, so it's different from function. Function means you actually run this part of the code, then you return a value, right? This time, it's kind of rewrite your code and do it. Okay, what will be the problem? I mean, first of all, you might have to reevaluate this and this for twice, right? P plus Q, P plus Q, it will have to do this calculation twice, right? If it's in a function, right? If you're doing this as a function, it will only calculate this for once and then send it to the function, right? Here, it will do the here once, another time here, another time, okay? It could be okay if it's a small one, but if it's like complicated, it will be quite tedious. Yeah, so we have looked at a problem. We have looked at a problem like this before, right? So if we have defined a macro square, which is x multiplied by x, right? And it seems right. However, because the compiler directly replaces the x value to whatever you assign to it, so now your expression will become z. Well, if let's say square z plus 1, right? It will be converting to z plus 1 times z plus 1. So the 1 times z will happen first, right? So your calculation become 2z plus 1, so which is totally wrong. So that is why it's very important you adding brackets inside your macro. All right, so the preprocessor are very important. As I mentioned, they are actually happening before the actual compilation process. So here is a typical way how the compiler works. The first step is it will process this define and include to modify your source code. All right, and then it will apply the grammar rule and to generate a pastry. Then it will generate some intermediate code from this pastry, but still this is on the C language level. Next one will be optimization, which compiler will try the best to make modification on your code to max out the performance of it. Basically, by reducing the duplicate calculations. That is why we said it's not guaranteed based off how you write the order of your writing your code. Example we had in the calculator, right? One operand minus another operand, like using the pop, right? It's not guaranteed because this optimization step. And then finally, we will convert into machine language. So this is how the compiler would work. And you can see this conversion to this machine language happen only at the very last step. So this is why it's a little bit convenient for people to creating one compiler from another one. So let's say you already have a compiler made for one type of machine. Everything is done. And now you're going to convert into another compiler for a different machine. The only thing to change is the last step. Everything else is the same. So that's make it a little bit easier to make a new compiler. Yeah, so just skip those for now. All right, so let's practice on making a macro ourselves. So let's say we want to have a macro to swap value between two integers. Okay. So essentially, you wanted to write a one-line macro to swap them. You could either use a temporary variable to achieve it, or use bitwise XOR, so you can avoid using a temporary variable. We will explain that later if you don't know what that means. Yeah, no. Okay, but yeah, just at least you can try the temporary variables. So input x equal to 7, y equal to 3, reverse it, and will be the opposite, x equal to 3, y equal to 7.